The problem, in my opinion, is Treasuries and the Fed. The Fed is going loco, and there's no reason for them to do it, and I'm not happy about it.
I think the Fed is making a mistake. They're so tight. I think the Fed has gone crazy.
I'm paying interest at a high rate because of our Fed, and I'd like our Fed not to be so aggressive because I think they're making a big mistake.
It's a correction that I think is caused by the Federal Reserve with interest rates. And I think the Fed is out of control. I think what they're doing is wrong.
Little pattern there, don't you think? President Trump not holding back in his fiery comments on the Fed's interest rate hikes that shocked the markets this week, or their suggestion that there would be more. Here now is Steve Forbes, chairman of Forbes Media. So, Steve, you've been a critic of the Fed as well, but first talk about the idea of a president publicly and so loudly proclaiming his dislike for what the Fed is doing.
With this president, it would be remarkable if he didn't. He's criticized everything
Right.
else. Why stop at the Fed? The Fed's not an official branch of government. It's a creation of Congress. And if the president wants comfort, Harry Truman went after the Federal Reserve in the late 40s, early 50s, got in a huge fight, huge battle. They had to have a treaty between the Treasury Department and the Federal Reserve.
All right. Now, in the substance of what he's saying, is the Fed, first of all, do you think the Fed is responsible for what we saw in the markets this week?
No, because the interest rates have been signaled and virtually announced for this year and for next year, so the markets had already priced those in. What did it was, be blunt about it, Vice President Pence made a speech on Thursday, which markets started to pick up on Friday, that this dispute with China is probably very serious across the board. And so the markets realize that resolving these trade disputes may take longer, may be more difficult than anticipated. So the market's pricing that in. If the markets didn't believe we'd eventually reach an agreement with China, you would see this week looking like patty cake.
But there is a price to pay for what we were talking about in the last one, unwinding the portfolio that all these central banks, not only the Fed, have built up, this huge trillions and trillions of dollars of assets that these central banks bought up during the recession. Now they're unwinding them. Doesn't that have something to do with what's happening now?
Not really. It's a huge market out there, literally trillions of dollars. So, and the Fed is spitting it out at a very low rate. As a matter of fact, I wish they'd do it faster, get that bloated portfolio down instead of nearly $4 trillion. So, but the key thing is uncertainty about trade. And if the trade picture looks better next week, you'll see the market to come back very quickly.
Now, you have a much bigger picture of what should be done with regard to monetary policy. You would get rid of the Fed, essentially go to a currency board and use gold as our standard for currencies, not only the U.S. dollar, but currencies all over the globe, right?
Yeah, you'd start with the dollar, and the gold doesn't mean use it as money, just as like a measure, like a clock telling time or a scale measuring weight. And so a gold standard just makes sure that a dollar stays stable in value. And that way you get much more investment for the future when people know that you're not going to have currency fluctuations. Nations that have stable currencies always do better than those that have unstable currencies. In the past 15 years, we've had unstable dollar. We've seen the results of it. So gold doesn't restrict the size of the economy. It just means that like a clock, 60 minutes an hour, we have a stable value. Well, worked for 180 years when Alexander Hamilton put it in.
You know Donald Trump. You know people in the financial part of the administration. Are they at all looking at this idea?
I don't think they're doing it right now, but Donald Trump in the past has said nice things about a gold standard. And
certainly paints all his furniture gold. He likes the color.
Well, you know, he's one person who might do it and go against all the shibboleths of the economics profession, which treats it like the bubonic plague, mistakenly. But he's the one guy who might do it.